most people, when they say the stove is hot, don't touch it, the idea is that you wouldn't touch it. For me, I always wanted to touch it to see how hot. If you're searching for a reason to be an entrepreneur, the answer is don't be an entrepreneur. Success is built on failure, and it's only those that can iterate from the failure. Enough action creates reaction. You can work 16 hours a day creating a lot of supply and no demand, when your job should only be build demand and find the supply.
Sometimes customers come to me, they haven't sold one single product and they want like the ads to do magic for them.
Teach a man to fish instead of giving him the fish. There's a saying that says if you need something done, give it to a busy person.
And what's next on your personal bucket list?
Building a unicorn, billion-dollar company.
So the Vegas Voices experiment brings us to unknown places, as you have been seeing, right? I never knew about our guest before, even though we've been here almost the same amount of years. He's an amazing founder, and we've just gotten to jive in the first few minutes that we've been around him. He was introduced by one of our past guests, David Berlin, and we have an amazing founder here. His name's Michael DeLuca. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Awesome, man. You've worn many hats. Investor, founder, veteran advocate. Now you are the founder of the startup OTSY. And then you're also doing Scared to Scale, which we will go into all that. Could you give us a quick recap of your background? And
sure.
I'll be sorry.
Yeah, I started my career in the digital marketing space early on, and I'd be like a mercenary for companies. I'd get hired by them, and I would come in and we would build content, take them into a digital age. This is back when everything was analog, 20 years ago, where the most innovative thing was a mailer piece that was sent out. So when Facebook, Instagram marketing rolled around, we were one of the first companies to adopt it. And obviously, as you know, running an ad is only as good as the content behind the ad. So we really focused on having high conversion content and then layering that with ads. So I'd go business to business and get hired by them. And eventually we were starting to see a lot of success, and I was starting to make the owners of these businesses millions of dollars while I was making a very small fee for running these ad campaigns. And so the iteration from that was that, okay, well, I've done that really well. What's the next step? Well, the next step, maybe it's look for these same type of businesses, but maybe an opportunity to get equity. So then I went into like these equity-based deals where I would say, listen, I want 20% of everything I bring in. I will actually run the ads with my own capital. So then I went to a more riskier model. And so that iteration completed in the last iteration was, I'm going to buy these businesses. So I'd come in and I looked for companies that were analog but had great revenue. We're not in the digital age in any respect. I mean, I've bought companies doing 7-8 million in revenue on a Google spreadsheet and then had to come in and completely systematize it. And so that sort of led me into the technology aspect of what I do, was just solving problems that I had in these businesses that I went and bought. And obviously, you buy something and you think, oh, it's going to be easy. I'm going to come in, I'm just going to make marketing. And then you sort of like peel the onion back, and there's more layers to more complex problems with technology and building ClickFunnels and sales and managing entire direct sales teams and building CRM systems. So that's sort of what has led me to where I am, was digital marketing, to finding success with that, to then actually going out and buying the businesses and either selling them after a few years of owning them, or keeping them and running them as standalone lifestyle businesses.
That's amazing. We're very akin spirits because I come from a digital marketing background space too. And I've always thought of that angle. What if I go, because marketing is like the biggest lever, right?
It is.
So that's one of the things that I thought in bringing my business into. And I'm also going to take advantage of that now that we have you.
Yeah.
And that you like mentoring people.
For sure.
Go that you went that deep. So I can see, for example, recently, the companies that we get the highest ROAS for are the companies that are the most aligned.
Right.
Right. Everything's aligned. Like you said, you might be able to move the lever of marketing, but if everything's not aligned, maybe things are not going to convert. And that's probably what I see that you were finding when you were going into these businesses. Right?
We are like, I kind of made up or adopted a term called ecosystem marketing. And what ecosystem marketing is actually finding the perfect alignment of all the systems. Sales has to work with operations. Operations has to work with creating of content, the offer, the crafting of the offer, right? Then the push behind it, which is what people see, the advertising. And then obviously the retarget marketing, the drip campaigns, funneling everything in and then being able to run data metrics on all of this stuff and objectively say, this is working, this is not working. And how do I move the needle? And when you measure data at that degree where you have perfect alignment of your ecosystem, which is your company holistically, you find that you can make small tweaks of measured amounts and say, okay, well, so I'll give you a prime example. I was dealing with sales guys and they're really tough to motivate salespeople. And so we built in a Salesforce system using Salesforce's Einstein features, which actually showed the salesman, had he closed 2 more deals, or had he had this much more profit percentage, this is what his check would have been. Because we were seeing with our sales guys, everyone was selling discounts. It was kind of a race to the bottom to just close a deal. But how do I get a sales guy to sell something more profitable? And how do I get him to stay an extra hour chasing a few more phone calls that might create a few more leads or a few more opportunities? And it was showing him what he would have had every paycheck to let him chase. So that right there saying like, hey, you close on average X% of your deals. If you have a group coming to Vegas, this is specifically for Red Carpet, which is a concierge travel company. If you have a group coming to Vegas that's of 10 of more, on average, you close 20% of those, you'd have this much more profitability and your check would have been this. Well, run that for a couple months. Now all of a sudden the sales guys are like, wait a minute, I want that check. And they stayed later and they worked harder and they worked the system. And so it's really important when you build this stuff that you get buy-in. Right. And so otherwise the end result is of people that don't want to adopt the system and your marketing efforts, right? So that was the kind of the inflection point was aligning those things as you were saying, and then getting buy-in from each individual department within the organization to want to work together in what's traditionally siloed.
And that's one simple example of just putting the carrot in front of them, right? That's
100%.
That's freaking awesome, man. I bet you have a ton of those. So one of the things that you've mentioned in media is that you're someone who always touches the stove to feel the heat yourself. Could you share a key moment early in your career that taught you the experience of hands-on entrepreneurship?
Right. So when I say that, it's that most people, when they say the stove is hot, don't touch it. The idea is that you wouldn't touch it. Mm-hmm. For me, I always wanted to touch it to see how hot, right? Like how bad is this going to be? So that's sort of just the ethos of the way that I live. But, like as far as family members, I'm the first to become an entrepreneur of my immediate family. Everyone else went to college, got a job. And so the first time of like the stove was hot was that, when I was sort of telling my family, hey, I'm going to pack up from Florida and I'm going to move to Las Vegas and I'm going to come work here and be an entrepreneur. And it was a very shocking moment to them. But that was the first moment of like, hey, this stove is hot. Like maybe this is not the direction that everybody goes, but I'm willing to find out how hard, how treacherous this journey might be. And from, just being able to fall on your face, over and over and over again. I often say, success is built on failure. And it's only those that can iterate from the failure. I learned this and I tried it differently. And you do that 100 times, enough action creates reaction.
Wow. That's super inspiring. I don't know what to say to that, but I am amazed. I hear that over and over and over. Failure is the key to success.
It is.
So let's go back a little bit. There's one of your big successes is Red Carpet.
Yep.
Tell me the story behind Red Carpet.
So Red Carpet's actually a great story. I didn't build Red Carpet. I purchased it in 2017, but there's a backstory there. So I came to Vegas working with a buddy with Mant Brothers Productions, and they're Emmy award-winning production house, and they wanted to actually make a TV show about Las Vegas. This is like in the dawn of like the Rehab show, and then the MTV Real World was here. So it was like really hot on reality shows in Las Vegas. Yeah, at the Bombs. Yeah, exactly. So so during that time, they were like, look, we want to make a show. So I was the boots on the ground in Vegas. So they sent me to Vegas. I came here and I interviewed all the VIP companies. So I Googled the top 3. I interviewed them. And so Red Carpet was one of the interviewed companies that we made a pilot for. So eventually we were not able to make the show because we couldn't get the casino filming rights. The casino's kind of over it with the real world, making a ruckus in the casinos, and they were kind of moving away from having TV cameras walking through the casino floors. But I got to know the company really well, and so I liked Vegas. So the owner of the company at the time was like, hey, why don't you stay out here? You could be a host for our company, because I had nothing to do. I was working remotely. And you get paid $100 and you walk someone in the nightclub. So there's a salesman, he makes a sale. You're just a facilitator. You just walk him in, but you'll get out in the nightlife scene. You'll meet everybody. And so I said, that's an interesting opportunity. Now, of course, at this point in my career, I'm above making $100 to go out and do this, but I saw the opportunity, right, to go out and here I am networking with all the top nightlife groups, all the top hosts, all the top casino executives. And so I did that for about a year. And then I met another friend, his name was Noah, and we started a company called VIP in Vegas, which was a competitor of Red Carpet. And 5 years after that, I came back with VIP in Vegas and we purchased Red Carpet. So I went from, trying to make a TV show about it to then working for them as an independent contracting host to coming back and buying the whole company in 2017.
Well, what does it take to be in so many places and go through so many different iterations and from here to there, and you just end up where you are? Yeah, it's a lot. You were not planning on that. So one of the things that I see also is that you do all the product design, you do all the talent acquisition, investor relations, all that stuff. How do you juggle these responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's a saying that says, if you need something done, give it to a busy person. And so we make time for the things that are important. So I often talk to my own staff because, you could put a 16-hour day in even, and it could be for nothing. And that often happens. And so doing these jobs is about doing the right thing at the right time. So when you can prioritize and sort of distill down what are the right things that serve the right timing that I need to accomplish. So I'll give you an example of like OTSY, right? So there's a lot of initiatives and a lot of things that you're trying to accomplish when you're creating a startup. But at the end of the day, it's actually simple. I need to serve traction. Traction is my customer growth. Traction is engagement, right? Traction is overall brand awareness, marketing campaigns, advertising. And that drives revenue, which then drives capital to be raised, right? So traction, revenue, capital. So if you're not doing anything every day that's driving those things, that it's serving you, you're serving your customers who are serving you, you're serving them in the terms of they give you revenue, which return serves your investors, which want to invest in you. So it's when you come from a standpoint of, I can take a really complex problem and then distill that problem down to sort of a basic binary, did I win or did I lose? And I look at every day like that. So it's like, what is the overall initiative of what I'm trying to accomplish? How do I highly prioritize my time block my time, and only work on the right things at the right time? And then be very brutally honest with myself. Did I win or lose the day? And then I start tracking that, just like you would a sports team. And if you're winning enough days, you're going to compound in the right direction. So it's, you could wear a lot of hats. There's many people that do it. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, everyone that you see out there. It's kind of the life of a founder. It's not like indicative to me. It's to every founder that tries to do it. You are, as we were talking before, the chief everything officer. They're all your jobs, they're all your hats to wear. And once you sort of master each one of those, then and only then can you acquire talent that comes in there and augments and scales. So I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how to do the thing, so then I'm just going to hire someone. So, we all talked about us being in advertising. I don't know the story of any great brand, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of these great brands, Reddit, that just the founder wrote a check to an advertising agency and then they became a unicorn, right? You have to become the community hacker yourself. You have to learn how to connect with that first 100 customers. You have to learn how to connect with the first founding team members. You have to learn how to build culture, right? You have to get people to follow you, and then you can scale and multiply exponentially.
I love hearing that because I see sometimes customers come to me, they haven't sold one single product themselves, and they want like the ads to do magic for them.
Yeah, you're going to be the magic bullet.
Have you sold anything? What has been your challenge? Oh no, I haven't sold it. No, you're not my client, man. No.
Right.
And I think it takes that first 100 clients to be able to.
It does
to do it. Now you were saying on revenue, traction, and capital. So could I translate that revenue comes from clients, traction comes from your team, capital comes from investors? Correct? To delve more into that, because I find that fascinating as far as enterprises and companies.
Sure. You like specific?
I don't know. I just translated it to it. If you want to like assert on it, that's totally fine. But anyways, yeah.
So I'll get it. So
you have those three pillars, right?
Those are the three pillars. And so, obviously your internal team is becoming these community hackers. You're doing it a lot of different ways. You're doing outreach, you're building community channels, you're running advertising, you're building internal marketing systems, sales funnels, flows, outreach, right? Building a product. All of those things are serving the traction of the company. And the idea is with traction, you get product market fit. So you're finding your first customers, you're engaging with them, you're making sure that you're not building the greatest thing that nobody ever asked for. Step one, right? Step two is get some people to pay you. Like, get some people to give you their money and say, hey, I like enough what you did that I'm willing to exchange some amount of money for what you've done. Get a little bit of revenue. And when you do that, you now go into a category of being able to raise capital, whether that's friends and family angel capital to venture capital, right, to private institutions or however else you're planning to raise. And we can talk more about raising capital in a little bit. But often people think, well, if I just had the money. No. You got to do the other things because no one wants to light good money on fire. So the idea is that you create something that has some inkling that people want to use it and give you money for it. And if you do those things well, the checks come when you need to raise money. If you do them very poorly, then raising money becomes very complicated. And that's what I mean by you can work 16 hours a day creating a lot of supply and no demand, when your job should only be build demand and find the supply.
Isn't that just common sense? There's so much money, I don't know, probably because you're in the VC world. There's so much money going into AI this, AI that.
Right.
But there's no product, like you said, there's no product market fit. There's no proof. There's no 100 customers.
Right.
Right. So like, let's say let's put on your VC hat.
Sure.
What would you look for is that one of the first questions you ask? Where's your first 100 customers? Before you put the money behind something.
So it depends on the state at which the product's at. So I'm an LP in a couple funds, which means I'm a limited partner, means I'm an investor of VCs. So I invest into VCs as well as I angel invest, which means I write individual checks. So the first things that I ask someone is, why you? Why this? Why now? sort of my 3 whys. And I have a great story about how I ended up with those. But really, these are very simple questions, but within 2 minutes, I know whether I even want to go down the rabbit hole of asking any further questions. So it's like, why you, right? If someone's like, hey, I just quit my job, I wanted to have more time with my family, I'm trying to find work-life balance, it's like, red flag, don't pass go, no $200 for you, go get a job. You know, when I say why now, right? I don't mean why now for you. I mean, why do you think in the market, like when we're talking about those TAM, SAM, and SOM, why does this need to exist now? Is it the right timing? Because it's right things, right time. And then why this? Why this thing? What is the purpose behind you wanting to build it? So it is such a treacherous, long battle to be a startup founder. And there's 1,000,001 ways to make money, that if it's anything to do with money and your time that you're trying to like bring back, like you're in the wrong business. Do something else, like passively trade, get a job, like however else you can do it. But because this thing is going to be 4 to 5 years. And I often say, it's like there's a saying, it says 3 feet from gold. And what that means is everybody gives up and doesn't put the shovel in when they're in the ground again once they're 3 feet. They just give up too early. So you've got to be willing to get to the gold. And it's a long delayed gratification and incredible steadfastness and millions of iterations and unbelievable heartache to do this. And so if you have to be motivated to do it in any way, shape, or form, it's not for you. It's a calling.
Okay. I'm going to put a bookmark on 3 feet from gold, because I want to get from you the distinction of when should somebody like stop, right? Because there's also a point where there's failure. But I'm going to leave a bookmark. You left me with something. And I was thinking before doing the interview, I really want to put you through these questions on your, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of OTSY, right? Which is your latest iteration, your latest company, your biggest baby. And I want to ask you these questions and put you through the test.
Sure.
Right?
Let's do it.
So why do you want OTSY?
So for me, I like to look for gaps in the market. So it's actually interesting. I own a travel company, Red Carpet, doing over 100 million in revenue. And now I'm building a social travel app. I'm neither a great person on social media, and nor do I like to travel that often.
So is Red Carpet 100 million yearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we do globally yearly.
Got it.
And ARR. So when it comes to like building, is like I'm looking for gaps. And so what I often find is someone builds a travel app, say, because they like to travel. It's not because they're solving a problem. They're just trying to solve a problem for them to travel more. Okay. Right? I enjoy building things. So for me, the purpose is behind OTSY is being able to solve a big problem, a gap I see in the market, and be able to then build culture around it and inspire change.
Cool. So what's the problem?
So the problem for OTSY specifically is that the youth, or millennials and Gen Zs, 84% of them are discovering their travel inspiration based on someone's social posts. There's 755 million pieces of travel content under the hashtag travel on Instagram, 200 plus billion video views on TikTok on the hashtag travel. The hashtag travel trends at number 12 across all social, which out of thousands of hashtags, and none of it's bookable. No price, no location.
That makes sense. My wife is always sending me, hey, let's go here. And it's a piece of content of somebody making a review in a restaurant in Mexico City or Switzerland or whatever. Okay, right. I get the picture.
Right. So now you have to go be the detective still. So now you've discovered in this new way.
Okay.
But now you still have to go search. And every time you make someone do something else, the conversion rate drops.
Okay.
Make them go here to read a review, then make them go compare their own rates, then make them go find the best price, then make them go find the place to book it.
Got it. Okay, cool. Why should OTSY exist?
So OTSY should exist because of the funnel change of the market, fundamental change. So in 2000, I saw this happening 2 years before, but the McKinsey Travel Report came out in September of 2024. And for the first time ever, the trip planning funnel has inverted on itself. So how we discover locations and we're an all experience platform, right? Social experiences, right? So we have 170 countries with 350,000 experiences that we're in. So I saw a shift in the market happening, which materialized in September of 2024. And what that says is that destinations were chosen and based upon the hotel they wanted to stay at, then the flight was booked, and then experience sat at the bottom of the funnel was the last thing someone did. Now, the entire trip planning funnel is inverted. They're discovering a location based on the experiences they want to do, which has now moved an entire market that we are in to the top of the funnel, right? So we have companies like Viator. Viator was purchased in, I think 2014 maybe. Could be wrong with that, but by TripAdvisor. And they bought it for $200 million. And in the last 3 years, it's growing to be 51% of TripAdvisor's complete portfolio.
Wow.
It's huge. It's probably going to spin out an IPO. Get Your Guide, an all experience platform, not social, just raised $194 million last year at a $2 billion market cap. So the time is now, and we're riding a trend of both the discovery of social, travel on social, and the experience market. So that's why it should exist at this moment in this time.
Perfect. Why is Michael DeLuca the one to do it?
That's a good question. So obviously I am a verified travel expert with Huffington Post, Digital Journal, Zoe Report, and many others. So I have a very close eye on the travel sector and market. 2, obviously, I have a passion for building. And 3, I was able to go out and assemble sort of a dream team of people. Our COO was the ex-vice president of Kayak. He filed the S1, helped take it public. It was then purchased for $1.8 billion. Matt, our head of growth, came from Tesla. Our advisors come from Marriott, come from Expedia. Our architects are from Meta. So we were able to really assemble the dream team. So it's why as me, as I was able to charismatically bring together the all-star team that's capable to go to market and make a unicorn.
That gives me a lot of curiosity. How do you get access to all these great, amazing people?
Yeah, all of them were different. Some of them immediately, they got it. Our head of growth that came from Tesla, he invested $250,000 and then a year later was like, I want to quit my job and come work with you. That was Matt, who you just met. Russ Sack, who's from Expedia, he was in the first 5 of Expedia. He was head of mergers and acquisitions, drove $3 billion worth of growth in 12 months. He actually, when I first met him, was like, yeah, great, nice product. I'm $1,000 an hour. Was not interested, right? So he was a perfect example of putting someone on our newsletter list. And every milestone, every achievement I hit, I sent him a little email update. And then after about a year, we won the Nevada pitch competition. We got funding from the state. We started to really take off, get a lot of user growth. He was reading those emails, never once responded to them. And then one day I wake up with a response. How do I get involved? Right? So that's a prime example of like all the accolades that I have, I still have to go through the same process as everyone else. The first time I pitched 100 times. I was told no 100 times. I had to go out and hire a CEO coach and literally analyze all my Zoom pitches and understand why I was getting so many no's. It wasn't easy. It didn't just come natural, right? These are different skills. Money has a language, right? Pitching within a certain time frame is complicated. Saying less or saying more with less is hard to do, right? So I think that answered your question, but yeah, just charismatic and going out and doing the thing and hitting your milestones and sending updates to people. That goes a real long way with having someone say, okay, you're incredibly consistent and steadfast. I can make a bet on you. And ultimately, you need a bunch of people to come make bets on you.
Yeah, and basically, like these people are not, like he said, I'm $1,000 an hour in a very rejecting way, but I'm sure you're not paying somebody that rate, $8,000 a day. It's like for 8 hours, whatever. There has to be something more than money. There has to be some sort of, there has to be a lot more than money.
There is. I mean, obviously, he said, I'm $1,000 an hour. I said, okay, cool. See you later. Yeah. Right? I mean, we didn't pay it, nor did we have it to pay it, right? We're a startup. So I think the point is that you have to turn people into believers. Everyone that works here at half of their market rate, and most of their compensation is in stock.
Right.
So that's what you want to see as an investor. You want to see people bought in. The founding team members own a lot of equity and they believe in the product, and they're going to stay around for the years that it's going to take to build it, and help build an army, with you. So, it is complicated to do it, but it's reaching out to a lot of people. You're going to get hundreds of no's. I get hundreds of no's. I fly all over. I pitch in all different competitions. I went to South by Southwest. I went to TechCrunch. I was in Chicago, San Francisco, Austin just last week. I get told no all the time. Whether it's a timing issue, whether it's just not in their thesis, I just have to talk to more people.
And you just have to get used to it. It seems like you're completely oblivious to no already by now.
Yeah, I mean, I take the no's, I put them on another email list, and I keep sending them updates. Right. And all the yeses, I prioritize and I try to get those deals closed quickly. But yes, it's like golf. You hit a bad shot. You need to have like the next shot, you got to start over again. That's
a really cool strategy. Marketing 101, keeping those no's and those yeses in a database and just keeping up with them.
Right.
I bet you not many people that are in your industry do that, or and then looking for capital do that.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. So there's a gentleman named Jeffrey Sailing. Jeffrey Sailing owns Startup Envy. Okay. And Startup Envy is it's an accelerator, but it's attached to Fund Envy and Angel Envy, which are two of our really good VCs here. And so I met him a year and a half ago. And he's a nice guy. I brought him over to the Sterling Club. And we had a beer. And I said, this is what I'm doing. And he's like, well, basically, he's the godfather of tech here. All the deals run through him. He has all the deal flow. Anything he invests in gets 100% matched by the state of Nevada. The state of Nevada has a battle-born venture fund, and it actually invests in you. Like, the whole state will come on your cap table. So I was super excited to meet him. He had a beer with me, and he said, I invest in business-to-business SaaS. I will never invest in a consumer-driven product, and I'm not interested in hospitality, which is the two things I am. And he said, on top of that, I don't know that another social product needs to exist. The three things, all not fantastic, right, for me to hear. The only thing I thought from the moment he left that meeting was, I'm going to get this guy. And for a year and a half, I showed up at all of his events. And I worked with him until finally he said, you know what? I'm going to have a meeting with you. And the meeting was at Blackfire's Institute of Technology. It's owned by UNLV out on 215 in Durango. And in that meeting, he goes, okay, I'm going to rapid fire at you. There was a whiteboard. And he goes, I want you to tell me if this is not my thesis, your valuation is higher than anyone's valuation. It's disgusting, your valuation. Get me there. And I hit the whiteboard and I got him there. And in October, they invested in us. A year and a half of no's, updates, not in their thesis, highest valuation ever given to any company in a consumer product, and we still got the investment. So a no can be a yes.
They have top two, right? So you won their whole cohort. I know.
So there's different types of cohorts that they run. They run Angel Envy, which is their big thing. We weren't part of Angel Envy. We were part of a Tech Weeks pitch competition, which then they opened an SPV for us, which is a special purpose vehicle, and they raised in the ecosystem, and then it got matched by the state, which is $1 million investment total. So this is not small stuff that they do. If you can build enough demand, show traction with some revenue, right? You can win people over, but that's a prime example of being told no, that I was never, and nor was the company any of the things that they were looking for, but just updates, hitting the milestones, and doing the thing, and getting success. Investors are like every other person. They want a FOMO. They want to believe. They want to write the check. The only job of an investor, especially a venture fund, is what do you think it is? It's deploy capital. Their job is to deploy capital. They don't build anything. They don't create anything. They're nothing without founders. Their job is to find the best founders and write checks.
And they need belief.
And need belief.
Wow. Wow. This is very inspiring, and we're talking at the highest level, but I want to bring it back to the average Joe, right?
Sure.
You stress the reality of a treacherous multi-year battle for many young founders. How can they build the mental resilience and inner passion needed to push through inevitable challenges?
So, I mean, that's where it's probably going to be controversial.
Yes.
It's like, just don't do it. Like, if you literally need to search for those things, just don't do it. It's a calling. If this is your calling. Like, if you literally need to be told, hey, you need to be more passionate. How do I find my passion? I don't know. Go take some ayahuasca, go in the desert, bury the old you, come back. I don't know. But like what I will tell you is that it is a calling. So if you're searching for a reason to be an entrepreneur, the answer is don't be an entrepreneur.
Have you done any of those?
I've not done those. No.
No.
I'm a control freak, so I don't know about like releasing myself into the wild.
Yeah, I know.
How that would feel.
You also measure your body and all that. Like, you have your Aura ring.
I do.
You do. Let's go a little personal now. What metrics are you tracking in yourself, right?
So 2.5 years ago, I was over 400 pounds.
No way. How much are you right now?
Big, 260.
Okay.
So I've lost quite a bit of weight.
Did you just lose it through sheer will? And
a lot of different things, right? So one, I did what's called a sleeve surgery. Okay. Now, what that does is it cuts 80% of your stomach, and so you have it left with a smaller stomach, right? So in the interim and the immediate, you can just eat less, right? But your stomach is one of the most adaptable organs in your body, and it eventually stretches back out. So it's a tool that will give you a year head start, right? But I also went completely keto, and I also tried to gamify it for myself. Because I said, how am I gaining all these weights? I was in the military, 20-something years ago. I was a high school and college athlete. It's how did I get to a point where I was able to put on hundreds of pounds? And it was really just a lack of understanding of how the body works. How sugar is going to get burned first, carbs are going to get burned second, and then it's going to get to fat. It's the micronutrients of what I'm putting in my body. It's sleep regulation. It's cortisol levels. It's just all these complex things that when you start tracking your sleep, you get a biometric scale, which is tracking your water intake, your body mass index. You're tracking your bone density. You're tracking your metabolic age, not just the weight, right? And so you're able to do that, and you're starting to say, okay, well, these are the same data points I'm actually looking at when I'm building a marketing campaign. But now I'm looking at my internal data points. Hey, I didn't sleep really well today. I woke up a bunch of times. Well, what happened? Oh, wow, I found myself that my cortisol levels were a little higher and my stress was up before I went to bed. So now I'm like, I'm going to be more intentional about winding down before I go to sleep. Maybe I'll meditate. Maybe I'll steam. Maybe I'll just take a shower. Depending on what I'm doing, if I'm on the road traveling. But having a wind down routine, and then also incorporating obviously the gym. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I have to have a trainer because of accountability. I will make every excuse under the sun not to show up.
Do you do cardio or weights?
So I do with the trainer. I'm doing high intensity weights. So a HIIT workout, so to speak. So I'm doing 3 compound motions and then 3 sets of those motions. And one of them is it could be I could do 20 squats, then 20, flies on a bench press, and then maybe 20 bicep curls. And then I'll go through that circuit again. Then the next one might be crunches, it might be rear delt, it might be shoulders. So that's sort of an hour workout for me. And then I try to steam and sauna for 10 or 15 minutes just to collect myself and meditate a little bit in the steam room as it's uncomfortable. And then I get ready and I come into work. If I'm on the road, it'll often be like a row machine or a recumbent bike, whatever's available. And if I can't do any of those things, it's just a plyometric or a short workout in my hotel room. Push-ups, crunches, and squats.
Okay, cool. What else do you do? What else do you measure? Do you only have the Oura Ring? Do you ever?
I have the Apple Watch. I have the Oura Ring. So the Oura I wear when I want to wear nicer watches because I'm also a timepiece guy. So I'll wear that. So I always have data. And then the Apple Watch is when I'm working out. And then obviously the scale. And then also a huge fan, although it's not data, but I use it in a very interesting way. But the Vision Pro.
Okay.
So I had a full adoption of the Vision Pro. I actually I have a hoverboard, which I'll show you guys before you leave.
You're one of those weird.
I put the Vision Pro on, and I actually put everyone's daily metrics above their heads.
Oh, no.
In augmented reality. So I'll roll down.
Eyes and all that.
Yeah, like their JIRA tickets, like where they're at, the project management software we use Monday. So when I walk, I look like a clown with these big ski goggles on, but like I walk by and I see everyone's metrics over their head, pinned over their desk.
I'd love to have a POV of that.
I can send you a POV. Yeah, and I'll wear it and roll around on the hoverboard down around. But yeah, I can send. It will record what I'm seeing, so I could send you a POV of that just to show the viewers what that looks like. But
that's a crazy biohack, but for your company, man, I've never heard.
I can literally from my office look to the right, and I can see through all the walls, like where the tiles are, and I can grab them and bring them back, look at their metrics, and throw it back to where it was. And it stays pinned in every environment. So it's a shocking, thing that I don't even think anyone's using it like that. They're like, they use it for entertainment value, but it's really interesting, augmented reality, to be in your environment, but then have like all these frosted glass tile screens around you of all these metrics and data that you could be tracking on individuals. But I wouldn't say the staff loves it.
We can call that biohacking your company.
It is.
It's amazing.
It is.
Have you ever worn a continuous glucose monitor?
I have not worn a continuous glucose monitor, and I imagine that would probably change my life.
Oh, dude, yes. As far as startups go and like just having the idea, I mean, I'm a super nerd. I've worn continuous glucose monitors. I have my Oura Ring.
Right.
I have my Apple Watch. I'm always on like measuring. And I love it. And I found that akin to you when I was researching you. Man, wouldn't it be cool to be in a startup that I'm pretty sure they're going to start measuring a lot more things, right? And
so I invested in one.
You're invested in one? Tell me.
It's called Blue Zone.
Okay.
So
what else are they measuring? Because I'd love to like.
So they're actually bringing the devices and then pairing it with the real world. So it's called Blue Zone, and it's by Dr. Wallace Brucker, and he's an owner of Push IV and Wellness. And what they do is they take all the metrics of, like, they'll do a DNA test on you, a genome test. Then they'll do a Dutch test with you. So they're checking your cortisol levels throughout the day. They're doing in-depth blood panels and a genetical test. Mm-hmm. Number one, they're going to craft a vitamin specifically to your body, only what you need and nothing else. Number one. Number two, they're going to go in-depth into those panels and work towards creating, obviously, an ecosystem within your body to make sure that all the levels are within normal zones. That is not something that gets tracked in the normal healthcare system.
They track it real time, like a CGM?
Well, so what's happening is you'll do those panels once a quarter. Those panels will get loaded into the back end of an app. And then the data from your Oura, your scale, your glucose monitor, everything will pair up with that. Because at the end of the day, how do you know? Here's really the challenge, right? And this is what I'm always saying to people. It's hard on a daily basis to know whether you won the day or lost the day. So if I am benchmarking my data against actual real lab results that are being done every quarter, and then watching how my data affects those lab results, not in real time, but on a quarterly basis, one, I know that I'm doing the right things and moving in the right direction. Two, I can't lie to the doctor. I can't go in there and say, oh, I did all this activity. They can see it. It's connected to the back end. They can open it up and they can say, you didn't do any of these things. We're tracking you on 4 different devices. You're not doing any of it. So it's extreme accountability, but also accountability in the sense that we're tracking all this stuff. But if you're not running the genome test, you're not running the Dutch test for your cortisol levels, and you're not running in-depth blood panels, it's like, is it really making a difference? So the idea is the blue zone is where people live the longest, live the most healthiest lives. So the idea of the app is it helps you live a blue zone lifestyle.
That makes sense. All the tests give it the context, and then you give it the content. So that's amazing. That's the next.
Be solved with AI and be able to, do more things in the future.
Yeah, and tell you stuff and what you're failing, what to eat, what not to eat. It'll connect to your fridge,
right.
Whatever.
And the same thing also with you, and that's even something I didn't even think about. But yeah, now that the Samsungs can actually look inside your refrigerator, it can actually call you out when you're putting crap in there. But with the Aura, like you're getting a readiness score, right? As I'm sure you know when you have the app. So it's like the idea of like my readiness score of the day is whether I should slow down a little bit today because my readiness score is not as high. I'm pretty stressed today. Maybe I don't want to make top-level high-performance decisions. Maybe I need to have a gym session at lunch today before I start making, my big rock decisions. So that's kind of how I use data to marry it, is that, I don't ever want to come from a position of scarcity or stress while making decisions that affect the future of anything that's important. I want to be in a clear, calm state of mind. And I use data to show that, hey, I'm not calm right now. I need a minute.
That's amazing. I do recommend using a continuous glucose monitor.
I will definitely check that out.
Give it a shot. It's like $150 a month, and there's 3 or 4 big ones.
Yep.
It's an enlightening experience.
I would, and that would be very interesting to watch, when you drink and eat those unhealthy things, and you're like,
gonna geek out.
Right.
You're gonna freaking geek out. So, I want to pivot onto one of your greatest inspirations, and that's the quote from Denzel Washington. And I was watching the video today. It draw me almost to tears. It says, when you get it, reach back, pull someone else up, each one teach one. Don't aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference. How does that principle guide you in life?
Yeah, so that's a big one. And when I made what I would say a healthy living, right? Where the life shifted, where I wasn't worried about where my rent was going to be paid or, how I was going to make bills. I then sort of said, okay, well, I did this. And I retired actually in 2019 to sort of live more purpose. I don't know what I was trying to find. I bought an RV and traveled the country with it. And then COVID happened in the middle of all this, which I was the only person traveling the country, which was also kind of crazy. Sometimes I was the only person on the highway for 100 miles. So that was a really interesting time. But I realized that I didn't do anything that left any legacy. I made money. I was successful. I touched a few people's lives of the employees that I have, but I wasn't doing anything that there would be if I were gone tomorrow, that there was a Wikipedia page left of some foundation, some things, some teachings, anything that I did that left real purpose. And so I started to set out on a different journey of how do I get a seat at the table? And when I mean the table, I mean the table on a global level, to actually create cultural change, to actually change generations of people, the way that they think, the way they interact. And there's been a lot of those shifts throughout humankind. And obviously we're in polarizing times right now. So for me, it starts with this, when I was telling you before, take a complex problem, distill it down, make it simple. Well, what's the simplest way I can make change? I can change one person's life. And that's what led into Scared to Scale, is can I find 10 founders that are here, one by one? Can I make an investment into them? And can I mentor them? And can I help them build the ecosystem around me? Because when you get to a point where it's okay, you did the thing, great, OTSY's one of the top startups in Las Vegas. It's still not big enough to make Silicon Valley, Austin, Denver, any of the big places, New York, any that are in tech, write checks to Las Vegas. I'm flying there to get the money and bringing it back here. But I want to build a thriving ecosystem where they look at the city and the state and say, that is tech. Well, how do I do that? I need a lot of talent and I need a lot of other founders. So it becomes not about me. It becomes about everyone collectively. And that's what Each One Teach One is really about, is that I can't build an ecosystem alone. I can build a standalone company that I then sell in 4 years, and then we're back to starting over again. Sort of after, Tony Hsieh unfortunately passed, all the property went into probate, all the startups slowly started to fail. Downtown became a shell of what it once was. So the only way to make it live on is sort of you teach a man to fish, right? Instead of giving him the fish. And that's what we're trying to do with Each One Teach One, is teaching them to raise capital, teaching them to get the traction, teaching them what they need to do to be successful. And then they go on and continue to build out our ecosystem.
So I read up on, you give like $10,000 to, like, that's...
Yes. So
how does that make a difference? Because $10,000 seems like it might be a lot of money, but it seems like also very little money. Does it like make a difference? So like, does it just give them a kick in the pants so they can get started, or?
So when I first created the program, so the answer is yes and no. First of all, when I was investing, it's $10,000 to $20,000 dollar checks, and it's for advisory shares. Mm-hmm. So these are shares that I would have been given for free to sit on someone's advisory board. Okay. So I'm basically like, I don't want to be predatory. Let me buy the advisory seat. Let me give you a little bit of cash, and let me invest in things that I think I can move the needle on. I can open a door. Obviously, I'm also an LP in other funds. So if I can get this product to a point where it's investable. So here I am giving the first $10,000, $20,000 to help them get their legal, to help them form their corporation, to help them make a deck, to help them get to the point where we can then go out and present it and get it funded. So I'm very deliberate in the things that I choose, because I'm only going to choose something where I think I can open the doors for you. So the idea is that I can then open the door and we go on from there. But when I first created it, it was built for students. So there were kids at UNLV that were in their junior year or senior year, or sophomore year, and they would have to go home for the summer because they didn't have enough money to live in the dorms or in their student housing over the summer. Or they'd go get a job working at Crumble Cookie or work on Uber Eats. So I said, well, if I give you $10,000 to $20,000, that's what you probably make with a part-time job in the summer. Why don't you build your own thing?
So you're buying a couple, 3-4 months of their time so that
right. And in a very altruistic way. Now, is in the big thing of the ecosystem, is that going to move the needle? No. But if that $10,000, $20,000 with the right couple doors being opened gets them to a point where they're winning a pitch competition, or gets them to a point where I'm introducing them to venture or larger angels, and they're now ready to receive larger funding, then it does make a big difference. So it's only it's very specific to those that I think can build something, and then need a little bit of cash to get a server spun up, get some legal work done, get a corporation filed, and then take them to the next step.
So that makes a difference. So it's March 2025 up to this point. Mm-hmm. How many of these, just call them grants or awards, have you given out so far?
So we've invested in 5 different companies so far. And then what we also did is we invested into Fund Envy and then Angel Envy. And the reason that we did that is we actually ran out of deal flow to write more checks within the ethos and thesis that we're in right now. So
I thought there'd be a lot.
Well, I mean, is there a lot of projects or is there a lot of investable companies, right? These are 2 totally different kind of thresholds. Is there people that have a lot of big ideas? Sure. Are they the capable ones of building the thing? Well, I don't know. So,
A lot of things have to align.
right, a lot of things have to align to make it investable. So I then was like, okay, well, I'm not getting all the best deal flow myself. So then I invested in those two funds to sit, and then I get access to all those deals. So now I've actually invested in 2 or 3 other projects through the fund. So now I'm working with the fund a little bit more hand to hand versus individually. But if I really like something outside of the fund's investment, I'll write a check individually to it, which I'm looking at 2 different things right now that I'll be investing in alongside of the fund. So they're doing all the due diligence. They're sort of vetting it. They're having the competitions. And now I'm sort of tagging along, also realizing as an iteration of my idea that it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be to find investable projects.
Wow.
So that's the iteration of it, to then say, oh, let me team up with the people that have the deal flow.
Dude, that is just fascinating. And I thank you for doing this for the community, man. It's awesome. Let's go into the rapid fire round.
Sure.
Favorite new travel spot discovered lately?
You know, it's a U.S. spot. And so I'm really a big fan of Yellowstone, both the TV show, but also Jackson Hole area and of Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Best advice that you have received for leading a startup?
Build, demand, not supply, as we talked about earlier.
Ideas are a dime a dozen, man.
Right.
Proven market concepts, they take grit. They take a while.
They do.
Cool. App or gadget you couldn't live without?
Vision Pro right now. Controversial because not a lot of people love it, but I've got some use cases for it.
Dude, it's crazy. And I don't know, are they still developing it, or did they stop?
I mean, the development of it is like a snail's pace. It probably is going to be unsupported. I find such a use case for it because I travel a lot. And I could be in the middle of Jackson Hole, put it on my RV, and I've got 4 monitors in front of me. And I'm working, and I could dial it into reality of being like in Joshua Tree, or it can be in my environment. I think it's a fantastic product. It's a little heavy, but the use cases are just out of control for allowing both remote work and having your reality augmented with those digital dashboards that I was talking about. So controversial, but I'm going Vision Pro.
Very cool. One word that sums up OTSY.
Discover.
Nice. And what's next on your personal bucket list?
Building a unicorn. $1 billion company. So that's next. Is never had a unicorn. We're on the unicorn trail. Looking to build a really big unicorn.
Do you think OTSY can be that journey?
I think it is, yeah. Not only think it can be, I think it is. We're growing at a rapid rate, and closing the round that we're in right now put us in the 90th percent of startups in the country. We joined Oracle's accelerator program. They let 50 founders in out of tens of thousands a year. We're one of the 50 in the accelerator program. We just presented to the British delegate for South by Southwest and Global 500 and Oracle. So I think between the team, the growth, the early stage market fit, I think we're well on our way to becoming a unicorn in the next 2 to 3 years.
Hey, Kevin Systrom sold Instagram for $1 billion, right?
He did.
So.
And then within a few years, it was worth $44 billion.
Yes.
And everyone thought it was crazy for Zuck buying it for $1 billion.
There's always another level, man. Who knows? That's cool.
There is. That's the unlock. That's the next unlock that I'm looking for.
Unlock, yeah, like a video game. Awesome. What's core message you'd like entrepreneurs, travelers, or curious minds to remember from everything we talked about today?
I think that we're in a digital age of building your personal brand. I think OTSY aligns with that personal brand building. You're already making content. You're already traveling. You're already making content and repurposing. Like, build your personal brand, whether it's on OTSY, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram. I think entrepreneurs need to find platforms that are paying them and able to continue on, that their brand is bigger than sort of any logo that you can put up. People want to trust and connect with humans. And that's a controversial topic in the day of AI. But AI is a tool. And so use the tool, but build your personal brand, because it's something that no one can take away from you. And you can traverse multiple markets when you have a strong personal brand.
I'd like to make a second part to this, because we can probably go down that personal brand and AI rabbit hole so big. It's the big trend right now.
It is.
I've heard it from so many big names, from other entrepreneurs. Your brand and AI, that's all you have to go in these days. That's kind of what we're doing with a podcast, actually. So, wow. Well, Michael, thank you for sharing your inspiring journey, and thank you for being so accessible to Nevada entrepreneurs. You truly are a Vegas voice, and I thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back on again and updating you as our journey continues. And I love what you're doing for the city and featuring entrepreneurs here.
Very well. And if people want to reach out to you, how do we get them in touch with any of your efforts?
Well, number one, please help my CAC to LTV. Which is cost to acquire a customer to the lifetime value. So go to the App Store and download OTSY, OTSY, and I hope you take a vacation through it that is well-deserved for you. We're the best place to book experiences. And two, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to network, go out for events, or submit your pitch, go to scaled2scale.com, and you'll be able to find all about our events upcoming. We do them at Bel Air Lounge the third week of every month on Thursdays, and as well as we'll do Zoom pitch events and sort of try to find additional deal flow.
Cool beans. Thank you, Michael.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.